In this video, I'm going to show you even more pen and ink techniques, so get your Sharpies ready. Before we get started with the pen and ink techniques, I'd like you to get a piece of paper to put in between your pages, as we'll be working with ultrafine Sharpie preferably, but if you don't have that, an ink pen will be fine. And at the very least, if you don't have a black pen, you can use a color pencil. So we're going to start with cross contour hatching, and this is a type of technique that the lines reflect the movement of your eye and around what you see. Cross contour describes shape and volume. And so how we're going to start that is with some oval and circular lines, starting with an oval right here, and then you will continue going around and creating these curved lines that radiate from that original oval. Now it's time to add the cross contour lines. So you'll start by creating a curved line from the oval to the right side of the circle, and you'll continue with those curves radiating all the way around. When you're done adding those curves all the way around back to the starting point, you can add lines in between the original lines to make them even more condensed and to add even more cross contour. Now you can complete your composition by going over the original outline once again with your Sharpie to make it all defined. Now we'll move on to stippling. Stippling is just numerous dots to create the impression of an object or its texture. Stippling sometimes can reduce negative space, which can make surfaces appear shadowy as well, depending on how you use it. And so we're going to start with highly condensed small dots around half of the circle in a crescent shape. And we're going to repeat these dots over and over in the original outline to make that outline the highest value to create that sense of shadowing. And then when we're done, we will loosen up the dots and placement gradually as we go across the circle. And now you can add a black outline around the perimeter of the circle to redefine your composition. So now we're going to move on to scumbling. Scumbling is also referred to as the Brillo pad technique because it's made with random squiggly scribbles to build up shadows. It also creates an interesting texture, and I think it's kind of fun to do. So similar to the stippling, we're going to start with really small scribbles around half of the circle in a crescent formation. And we're going to overlap our scribbles so that original scribble continues to get a darker value. And as we add layers of the scribbling, our scribbling becomes looser, it becomes wider as it stretches across the circle, so that you always are adding lighter value to the fresh paper, but you're adding darker value when you overlap your scribbles. When you're done with that, go ahead and add your outline around the circle, and that wraps up scumbling. So we are going to transition to the last technique, which is something that you're all used to or familiar with, and that is micrography. And micrography is, is an ink technique where selected words are used intentionally to build up shadows. For smaller text, you get a darker appearance and value. For larger text, you get a lighter appearance in value. And what's unique about this is that Using text can tell a story or communicate ideas. So I think this is a really interesting way to approach shadows, especially if you are creating a very expressive piece that you want to share. All right, go ahead and redefine your circle by giving it a nice clean outline. And that concludes our pen and ink techniques.